Hey gang, John here. Now in this video, I'm just looking at some of the changes I made to my Taboola campaign, just to show you guys what I've spent. I've spent $265, and frankly, I've spent that much because I haven't really been watching things very well. So I should have spent less, but I just haven't really been watching things. Now, I made some changes the last few days, and what I'm going to look at is just based on the dates that I changed things. I'm going to look at my content because I want to see what ads are doing what. I'm a little tired, so now one thing that I want to note is what data range you look at is important. Now in this set of data, we're seeing this is the top. We're seeing this ad is doing 9%. We're seeing this ad is the top performing. Now if we look at the month's data range, we will see that it looks like this ad with a sports car is not doing that well. You see that? Looks like it's not doing that well because we have 0.04% and then we have 0.1. We have 0.1%. So it looks like these ads are way outperforming this ad here. But keep in mind that I'm a bit aggressive, and I change multiple things in my advertising campaign along the way, if you saw the previous video. So that isn't a fair split test. So what we've really got to look at is we've got to look at a time period when both of these ads were running. Because remember, I've been running this ad for more days than I've been running this ad. So that's why, again, I look at a smaller time period. And I want to see live online training, and then we see that the data actually looks, the data doesn't look too different. And just a few clicks would change these ads in either direction. So it doesn't really matter. Both of these ads are converting really well, or clicking very well. And these ads aren't necessarily. Okay. So what we can do confidently is we can pause this ad, and we're left with these three ads that are all kind of in the same range. Now, I'm just going to take this ad off just because I just want to focus on these two ads. Now, in this case, I've tested a number of images. Okay, I haven't tested headlines at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to test headlines now. Now, if I want to make it real simple, I'll just go with this image. And I'll just actually pause this one still, because even though a few clicks will swing it, I still trust that this is going to be a fine image. So I'm going to pause this. And notice we also have started getting conversions. So in this case, a conversion is an opt-in to my email list, and I'm willing to pay $5 for an opt-in to my email list. Now, that being said, we're kind of close. We're getting close. This is, I implemented the tracking pixel on my offer, and that's what I'm using to see if I'm, in this case, I'm using a landing page where I'm seeing if they opt in to my email list. So I'm checking this out. It's always good to have conversion points which you can check out like that. So what I would do, and in your case, you might want to do a click through, somebody who clicks through from your pre-sale page. So I recommend you use a pre-sale page, which is, I believe, what I'm doing. So what we want to do is I actually want to split test some headlines. So in this case, I'd actually go into in my members area, and I would look at our ad swipes area. Pause the video, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the BizOp folder, and I am going to look at this headlines file. Okay, and I like these headlines. So let's see which one. Let's see which one works the best. We could try a couple of these. Well, first off, let's see if Taboola has any dynamic parameters. Taboola dynamic parameters. Dynamic keyword insertion for titles. This looks interesting. So in this case, I can actually use here's a list of keywords you can use. Simply replace keyword in the macro with any of these values in order to have the place in the value in the title. So let's look at this. City capitalized. Okay, great. So in our case, we might want to say we would say city capitalized. So I could say live online training in how to start an online business. Okay, it's fairly easy. I could also say live online training in region. I could also say live online training in, I don't even know what DMA is. DMA. So what I'm doing is I'm just being, I don't know, I'm just trying stuff out. I'm just playing around. Live online training, this day of week. Okay, so we have a couple different headlines here. We're not changing things around too much. Now, let's see what happens. So I'm just going to go with this, and we'll see. I think this should. There's really no reason when you personalize things that you can't when you personalize things, it always works. Let's put it that way. So I'm frankly surprised I didn't even do this from the beginning, but it's fine because you don't have to get a campaign inventory. So let's create some. Let's create. So we're gonna paste my link here. And let's see how many ads I'm creating. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to try a sixth one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I also think I don't know if this is going to work, but if maybe it should be day of week. But then I also want to try an ad that says live online training, how to create a side income online. Okay. So let's do this, and let's add. So I'm just going to choose my file. I'm going to go to desktop, and let's see. There we go. Going to do OK. Okay. So we have our image. Okay. Bit of tedious work here, but again, this is. Well, let's see if we can do image library. Maybe this doesn't seem to be faster. It's funny because a lot of these ad platforms are fairly old school, but you can make massive amounts of money from them if you know how to utilize them. So that's good for us. And again, this is how you reach people nowadays. So it's just now notice, even though I've only got 2 conversions, I've spent $200 and I've gotten 2 conversions, right? Most people would be really sad about that. I'm not at all. You know, I know a few things. One is people are clicking on my ads, which is great. It means they're interested in it somehow. And the second thing is that people are, people are converting. That's all I need to know. Let's do a 7. Let's do whatever. We won't do that. Now the reason I don't care that, frankly, I should be super worried that, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm not even making sales. I'm just getting people, I know if I get people to my email list, it's money, and for me, I know I can spend $5 for somebody to get on my email list. So, but I'm spending, I spent $200 and I got 2 people, right? So it's like, shouldn't I be, you'd think I'd be super worried, but I'm not, because I know I can optimize things. If I get 1 conversion, I can figure out why that conversion happened. I can start getting into the psychology of what works, and I always do, because what we're doing is we're starting from what works anyways. We're starting from the images that work. We're starting from headlines that already work. Well, the headlines I kind of guessed on in this case, just because it's my own offer. But what's wrong actually with my headline, the reason why it actually could be much better, is because nobody actually wants to create an online business. People actually want to make money online. So there's much better ways to phrase this. So I just said a side income online. People don't want to start a business. Businesses sound complicated and expensive and dreary and bothersome. The point is, we're starting to test headlines. We're testing more headlines to see what works out best. And this is going to provide us some really interesting data because we tested a bunch of images. These are all the images we've tested. And now we're going to be testing headlines. So every step of the way, we're refining our advertising on this particular ad network until we start seeing much higher click-through. We're starting to see higher click-through rates, and until we see higher conversion rates. Now, we started from 0.02% click-through rates, and now we are 5 times higher. We started from 0% conversion rates. Now we have something. So slowly but surely, we're turning this duck into a goose. Now, what I might also want to check is some of the other metrics. So, by site, and we can see. And what we know is that overall, let's look at this campaign. We have a 0.07% click-through rate. Okay, so overall, and just to give you a perspective here, if we look at this over the course of the month, if we look at this, let's see if we can look at it on a day-by-day basis. By day. If we look at this, we didn't have any conversion rate, and now we have something. And also, if we look at this, well, CPM is going up is fine. But if we look at our click-through rate, we started with barely anything, and over the course of a little bit of refining, it just keeps going up. Crazy, right? So, and this is a good trend. This is the sort of trend you want to see. Again, because my click-through rate is going up, I could actually probably start reducing my click price. What Taboola cares about, just to give you a little background into Taboola cares about their CPM. So if they're willing to give me impressions at a 0.05%, so this is interesting. They're willing to give me impressions at a 0.05% CPM. Okay, right? And what I'm seeing is they're willing to give me a lot of impressions. They're willing to show my ads at a very low CPM, 0.08% CPM. 8 cents per 1,000 impressions. Now, at a 78% CPM, how much volume do you think I can get? How much more willing are they to show my ads? Well, first of all, they're going to show my ads a lot more because I'm making them a lot more money. Remember, they were giving me impressions at 8 cents, and now they're getting 80 cents for every 1,000 impressions they showed me. That's great for them. Okay, just looking at the math here. But it also means that I can reduce my cost per click, because my cost per click has been stagnant. So as my click-through rate goes up, right here, I could actually start reducing my cost per click. Now, I'm not going to do that just yet, but I could, and I could reduce costs greatly. In fact, I could probably have this profitable by just reducing my cost per click in half and paying less for each action. Okay? So that's a big. Remember, even though it looks like $35 per each action, if we actually look at if we actually look at it on an ad basis, if we just look at my, if we just look at what ads I was showing, that it actually cost about $11. Right, so it cost $11 when showing this ad. Now, it's not the best data, but it gives us something to work off of, and it means that if we reduce the cost per click, let's say we reduce it by 75%, and we start refining things, we can have this and we haven't even tested the headline yet. We can probably have this profitable pretty quickly, and that's a big deal. That's why I spend extra time doing this, because we could be spending a ton of money on this campaign. And I'm showing this to you guys, but this is obviously something that it looks like it's losing a ton of money, but this is the sort of thing, it can be a massive winner, and I hope you guys are understanding this. So I'm going to go back to campaign summary. I want to see some of the stuff here. And again, I'm going to look at a more reasonable range based on my current things. And what I'm looking for, once again, is I'm looking for sites that fall very different outside of the scope of what might seem reasonable here. So first I'm going to look at by site. This is good. These are all fairly normal. What I really, let's sort by impressions. What I really want to see is, okay, this is 0.1%. What is this? This does not. I'm not sure. Notice all the affiliate ads, by the way. Affiliate ad, affiliate ad, affiliate ad, affiliate ad. I'm actually going to get rid of this site because this seems to be having a lot of impressions and not a lot of action. Block. Let's see if there's anything else crazy. So this is interesting. I got my 2 conversions. I got 1 conversion from this site. Okay, in South Africa. Affiliate ad, affiliate ad. I got 1 conversion from this site, and I got 1 conversion from this site. Both South African sites. Okay. So interesting to note, South Africa. Let's look for any other major discrepancies here. BitTorrent. Healthy Panda for family. The fact that this site's taking so long to load is not a good sign. What I would do is I would actually look to see if this site has a social following. So what I want to see is, does this site have a social following? I also want to see when they, I mean, it just doesn't look, there's so many mistakes on this site. It makes me very, very, very wary of, this is a scammy site. I think this site is just meant to make money from advertisers. Remember, there's a lot of companies out there that are trying to make money from advertisers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of for family, we can find it again. Healthy panda for family. And you know, we'll see what else happens. Again, we'll optimize more as we move along. But so far, that's good. Also, keep in mind that this site showed every ad of ours equally. So if we were just showing our best ad on the best sites, then, you know, theoretically we would have, you know, a much lower CPA. Let's look at by country. So one thing we're seeing is huge. Oh wait, this is just conversion rate. Let's look at CTR. So CTRs are fairly consistent across a number of these countries we're advertising in. Let's look at impressions. Impressions are quite outsized in South Africa, though. So I would want to find a way, if we can reduce the amount of impressions we show in South Africa, that I'd prefer that, because right now it's not a good mix of countries here. Okay. So in this case, I want to see if I can change that around. Now, what I might do is I might open up a new tab here. And I'm just going to campaign management, actually. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to see, can I edit campaign properties? I'm going to see if I can reduce bids just for that country, just for South Africa. So I can't reduce bids for just South Africa, but you know, that is what it is. So in the future, if I just maybe I want to add in some other country or something to offset this, but we'll just leave it as is for now. It's not messing things up too much, and it's where our only conversions come from. So let's look at by platform. So what we're seeing is we're actually seeing a lot lower click-through rate on desktop, which is kind of interesting. And we're seeing both of our conversions came from smartphones. So smartphones and tablets have a much higher click-through rate. So we'll see what that means, but it may mean that we even want to, most of our clicks are coming from smartphones. So it means we'll run more traffic, but we may even want to get rid of desktop if the CTR is so bad. But we'll see where things go. And this is again, this is ultimately what will be the most interesting data, which is when we start seeing what has the highest click-through rate. And what we can do if we really want is, I can just copy these top columns here, and I could just paste it into this document. And if I wanted to, I could try to. So I have the highest impression categories right here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do view, freeze, one row, view, freeze, one column. And I could just sort by CTR, see what has the highest. And what we're seeing is entertainment engagers, human resources professionals, business professionals, inferred gender, female. There isn't really much data here. See, this is all kind of in the same range. If I really wanted to look into data, again, I just look at everything. I would export this. Export it all. Okay, I just exported everything. Now what I do is again, understand everything I'm doing is very advanced. And you don't need to necessarily do this. This is just the level I work at. This is the level. I want you to also keep in mind, this is the level where you're, I'm forging new ad campaigns, and when I figure out a new ad campaign, I can do it in a few days. So this is and I'm showing you everything I do. So to make millions. So this is the skilled part of it, but yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort impressions Z to A, and I'm going to get rid of things that have less than 10,000 impressions. Because what I'm figuring is delete rows, because I want to look at stuff that have at least some data. Then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, so I've basically set a filter there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sort sheet Z to A to see what the top performing categories are. Now again, everything falls within a fairly tight range, 0.2 above. But I'm kind of interested. I just want to see, okay, what are the top categories here? Well, the categories where I got a conversion are interesting. So eventually we'll look at these things where I got a conversion. Notice the categories are the people who actually ended up filling out my thing. Interest, banking, finance professional, science, interested in loan or credits, they're in business, they're a job seeker, tech interest, business interest, finance interest, management interest, finance professional. So all of these things are kind of interesting and give us an idea of what type of person. Education, careers, grocery buyers, employed. So again, all of these things can end up possibly helping us down the line. Okay, we'll see where it all goes. The more conversion data we get, the better, the more accurate we'll get everything. But I just look at this to kind of get an idea of what's going on. So what I'm interested in is these just top categories: dogs, travel engagers, DIY, healthy lifestyle engagers, finance engagers, automotive engagers. So in general, it seems finance, I don't know, we'll see where it goes. But I just keep all of these elements in mind as I'm creating my campaigns. It doesn't mean I'll change anything right now. But again, what I'm really interested in is once we start getting this data back, and once we start really getting into the segments that convert, now that we're getting conversion data, this is going to help us optimize greatly. and we'll be able to expand to the US, to Canada, and hopefully all over the world with our advertisements and make a couple extra $1 million. So that's the goal, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, happy huntings. Hopefully you learned a bit from this extremely advanced training. But again, nothing that I went over here is rocket science. It's just, it's just kind of a diary of what I do and trying to give you a peep into how my mind works, my life, and what an extremely advanced marketer looks at when he's going through things. So let's go back to the campaign here. And once again, we'll just, I guess what we'll do is we'll wait to, well, the new content hasn't loaded yet, but we will wait for the new ads to get loaded in. And maybe what I'll do is I'll add a few countries while I'm at it. So let's what countries am I targeting? I'm going to bring up some other small countries. Let's see. I think what I'll do is I'll add in Canada, because Canada's a bit smaller than South Africa. So we'll see what happens there. And in fact, I'll try something a little bit weird. I'm going to try, let's try the Netherlands. Just to mix things up. And we have Puerto Rico. I think that's good for now. Just mix things up a little bit. Sub-country targeting is not available for multiple countries. So if I were to advertise in the US, I might just pick a couple states. So let's see. Would you continue? Just apply changes. That's it. That's how it works. So we'll see what happens next go around, and hope this was interesting. Didn't take that much time, and again, this is the actual work component. You just go back and forth, kind of seeing what people like about your ads, seeing what people don't like about your ads, and when you get a winner, you just focus on one thing. I get this stuff done when I focus on it pretty quickly. But again, you don't need to get stuff done in a week or 2 weeks. If you get one campaign that works, you can sit on that for years. And sitting on that for years and just let it make you tons and tons of money. And I've done this a number of times in my career. and it gets pretty crazy. You make a lot of money. You can make tens of thousands of dollars a day. I've had days where I've made $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and it's been absolutely nuts, and it's fun. You don't need that much, but again, if you just be really targeted, you can do well. Thanks for watching, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below.